Hey everybody, we are in Chapter 8, Lesson 9, and in this flipped lesson we're going to be learning about 1 and 2 step inequalities. So if you think back, previously we had spent some time learning solving 1 and 2 step equations, and now it's going to be the exact same idea except with inequality signs. So now if you take a couple little bullet points and notes, the first thing I want you to say is solve these just like 1 and 2 step equations. Same 2 steps for the 2-step equation, same 1 step for the 1-step equation, same order, same process. Alright, we talked about using the golden rule of equation solving, reverse PEMDAS, using opposites, so you treat these just like they're 1-step equations. Except, make a little flowchart arrow down, except, oops, two things will happen. The inequality sign will flip if you ever do two things. Number one, if you ever divide by a negative, the inequality sign flips. And two, if you ever multiply by a negative, the inequality sign flips. Alright, then put a big circle around that. That is key information right there. Things to look out for. So you'll be just following along, solving the inequality like you normally would. Those are the two things you got to look for. Flip the sign if you ever divide by a negative, because what's happening is the negative sign's actually creating an opposite when we have to compensate for that by flipping our inequality sign. So we'll get to those in a second. Let's first start off with a couple of examples. So if we've got like 4g is greater than 28, and we're saying 4 times what is bigger than 28? Well, that's a whole bunch of things. 4 times 10 is bigger than 28. 4 times 50 is bigger than 28. 4 times 1,000 is bigger than 28. So what we have to do is get g by itself, meaning we need to make that 4 go away. Well, it's being multiplied right now by 4. Opposite of multiplying by 4 is divide by 4. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So g is greater than 7. And now what we've done, right, you just the 1-step equation, just like the equality. Our equality would say g is 7. This says g is greater than 7. So recall, we've done this a couple times. 7 will go in the middle. And to show all of the infinite possibilities for g, of which there are infinite, we go open circle on g, shading to the right. And that little illustration there shows any possibility g could be not 7, because it's just plain old greater than, there's another bar. So open circle and then shades to the right. So same step, no sign flips because we didn't divide by a negative, we just divided by the positive 4 that time. Okay, let me show you a 2-step example, and this time I'm going to throw a negative in. You know what, let's go 1 step with a negative here. Negative 2e is greater than or equal to 12. We'd say solve for e. So to get rid of the negative 2, because it's negative 2 times e, we divide both sides by negative 2. E, sign change, watch this now, it's greater than to start with, so we change it to less than or equal to, and 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. Right? In your notes there, draw a big arrow up to that, and just write sign change. It was a sign change because of that act right there. We divided by negative 2. Doesn't matter what your answer is. In this case, the answer was a negative 6. Doesn't matter what your answer is. It's this step over here. Did you divide by a negative or multiply by a negative? We did. So the sign changes. Okay. Same process if it's a 2-step inequality as well. Let's do one of those so you have those in your notes. Negative 5h plus 2 is less than negative 18. So we look at this and go, okay, we need h by itself. Here's where the letter is, so we're going to start on the left-hand side. Reverse PEMDAS says adding or subtracting first. To get rid of a plus 2, we go minus 2. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. Negative 5h comes down. Less than comes down. Negative 18 minus 2 is negative 20. Drops down. Step 1 done. Step 2, we need the h to be by itself. So divide by negative 5 to both sides. A little bell should go off in your head because we divided by a negative. So we have h, sign change, is greater Negative 20 divided by negative 5 is positive 4. So h is greater than 4. Right? Sometimes we'll graph it, sometimes we won't, just so you can see this one if we ever had to graph it. Let's make a little sketch out here. That'd be an open circle on 4. Should do a couple bigger, a couple smaller. Open circle on 4, it's greater than, so we'd shade off to the right and do that for our h. So, sign change. Again, since this is our notes, just make a little note about this one. This was a sign change because we divided by that negative right there. In this case, look, our answer was positive. Remember the one before was negative, here's positive. Doesn't matter what the answer is, it's the fact that we divided by that negative that causes that sign to change. So hopefully this doesn't feel too new to you, because we're still doing the same algebra, the same steps, but keep your eyes open for dividing and multiplying by negative. You'll notice I didn't show you any multiplication by negatives, just divisions, because right now in 7th grade we're only going to be seeing dividing by negatives in our problems. Alright, let's have you try one here. I'm going to have you solve and graph this one question here. Negative 2w plus 6 is less than 18. Alright, you and your table partner team up, pause the video, solve it. Alright, let's see how you did. Hopefully you did a -6 as your first step, which gave you negative 2w is less than 12. And then hopefully you divided by negative 2. W. Should we switch the sign? What? Yes, that's right. We should flip the sign. W is greater than negative 6. Your graph should have negative 6 in the middle with an open circle and shading to the right. Should be by negative 5 and negative 7 this way, so you can see the continuation. And there it is. Alright, so that's it for this lesson 8-9. It's the last lesson in this chapter. Time for you to do some practice now.